Hello my friends, how are you? I'm Michelle and this is my channel, Penny's Daughter Shares, where I talk primarily about cross stitch, and that will be the subject of the day today. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I hope that you enjoy what you see, and if you do, please like and subscribe down below. You can also tap on the bell down below and you'll get notified when I upload new videos. If you are a returning follower, is that a good word? How about a returning friend? I like that word better. Thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate everyone's views and your likes and all of the wonderful comments that I continue to get. I read them all, and that reminds me that I want to tell you that I think that I may be missing some comments and I don't know why they're disappearing on YouTube. So if I haven't at least hearted your comment, and almost always I reply, that's why it disappeared on me. And I'm not sure why. Let's see. Let's start with a quick life update. If you remember from my last Flosstube, or if you watched my last Flosstube, I didn't have a hot water heater that was working. We have a new hot water heater. Got one, I think the day after I filmed my video, and it works. Thank goodness for hot water. And construction continues on the basement and our backyard. In fact, I think they're out there working on the concrete right now for like a patio type thing, because we have a walkout basement and we need somewhere to kind of step out onto when we walk out the doors. I think that kind of catches up on life. This episode is going to be a bit of a catch up with March Madness. I had such a large focus on getting a lot of FFOs done that I didn't want my videos to be 4 hours long. So I have several cross stitch finishes to share. So that's a big part of the sort of catch up, if you will. And then I also have, to start, I have 2 FFOs that I want to share that I actually completed in April, and I'm counting them as part of my April numbers. And I am still on track with my goal of at least 2 full finishes each month for the whole year, although I've already surpassed 24 total FFOs. And I know I've talked about that before, so I won't go into all the details. I am keeping track of, I'll call it an inventory of finishes waiting to be fully finished. And I should have looked at it. I don't remember my exact total number that I started with at the beginning of 2023, but I feel like I hit a really big milestone with the end of April because I brought my total number of finishes to be FFO'd below 50, which is still a crazy number, but hey, I'm getting there. And so all this FFO talk, just as a reminder, Jen of Two Tall Stitchers, and she is jenquilter on Instagram, and I started the beginning of the year with what we called the FFO Challenge 2023. You all continue to participate using this hashtag, and it's awesome. There are so many full finishes, and when I'm not getting mine done, I'm kind of jealous when I get to see so many good ones. But I love that it's still continuing, and we've seen special FFOs or things that have languished in drawers or in storage for a long time. And I think it's wonderful to see that you know, these older things coming out and getting done. I'm also excited when you show us things or you share with all of us that maybe it's something you've stitched and you've gotten fully finished all at once, which is awesome. And I want to be like you when I grow up. Okay, so with that, let me show you what I have for full finishes to share today. I will start by putting a chart picture up here for you. And this is the Wordplay series from With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And this is the May of that wordplay. And here is my full finish. And let's see, I have talked about these in several other episodes. And again, I should have written it down so that I could tell you what those were so you could refer back to them. If I remember, I'll try to remember to put them in the notes down below. So then if you want to check out more detail about how I fully finished these, then you can refer back to a couple of those episodes because I go in full detail. All of these were stitched the same in terms of I used the same linen for every one of the word plays. It's 40 count ancient from Picture This Plus. That means I stitched 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I used pretty much all called for colors. Once in a while, I made a substitution if something didn't show very well on my fabric. Okay, so, and then just a quick sort of run through. To fully finish, I put ironed-on interfacing on the back of the stitch itself, and then I hand stitched it to a piece of inexpensive felt that you can get at Joann's or Michael's. Well, I think you can get it at Michael's. No, I can't remember. I got mine at Joann's. And then I left a 1/2 inch of linen and fringed it. So just pulled the threads to make fringe once I had it stitched together. And then I have it, so that's that piece, and that's stuck to this fabric, which is mounted on sticky board. This particular fabric is, I'm not going to remember the name of the line. If it's something that you're in love with and you have questions about what it is, drop me a comment down below and I'll look it up for you and share that information. Because like I said, I can't remember off the top of my head right now. So I just put that, and then I have washers that I glue to the back of my piece of mounting board. And then I have magnets. This is a magnetic chalkboard here on this perpetual calendar. And that's how it's attached, is with magnets. And I'll take it apart and show you here because I'm going to switch it out because I have another to show you. So that is May Wordplay from With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And so let's see. Up next is June Wordplay. I'll put the chart picture here to show you. And so this one is going to be similar sort of things that I'll share, but let me show you my magnets here. And I apologize because this is going to make noise as these magnets snap on here probably. I'm going to try to keep it relatively quiet, especially if you're wearing earbuds. I don't want to blow out your ears. Okay, so this is the back. So you can see I just glued with E6000 washers on here. Now, I did not glue my magnets to my board. They're loose, and I find it's easiest. I just take the magnets, put them where I want on my washers, and then I can just snap it to my perpetual or my magnet back, or magnetic back, which is the perpetual calendar in this case. And so I'll show you. So here's the back of June, which is the same thing. And I'm just gonna try to do this fairly quick. And then when I snap this onto the board, it's going to make noise, I promise, which isn't good, but I'll try to keep it relatively not too noisy. Okay, I did it quick. I hope that wasn't too bad. And let me center it a little bit. I apologize if it's not perfect here. I'm just doing it quick so that I can show you instead of you watching me mess with it for a long time. So same thing, stitched on the same fabric, 40 count ancient from Picture This Plus. Called for colors, except for where I needed to switch out. Same exact finish. I have all the pieces cut out. The board, the fabric I don't have cut, but the felt, the interfacing is already attached to all the other pieces. You saw I have a piece of cardstock that I glued to the back of my board, and I have all those cut. So it's really about assembly at this point. And I'm getting a little tired of the finishes because now I've done 6 and I have 6 left. So, but they look so good when I get done. And I really love that. So I'm going, because this was my top priority, was to get all 12 of these fully finished this year. This fabric, again, I don't know for sure the maker or the line or anything. If you want to know, drop me a comment down below and I will look it up for you and share that information if it's important. Both fabrics I ordered from Fat Quarter Shop, and so if they still have them in stock, you'd be able to find them on Fat Quarter Shop. One of the things I love about this backing fabric is you can see sort of the distressed nature of the background color, the dark red. I love the distressed sort of look to fabrics, so I think that really looks great. So that is June wordplay. And I showed you May wordplay from Wet With Thy Needle and Thread. And as long as I'm talking about these for a second, and I talked about that it's one of my priorities to get these done. And like I said, I'm getting kind of tired of doing them. As part of my Mania, I wanted to do something, incorporate some FFO work in Mania in addition to all the stitching plans that I have. And one of the things I decided is it's a perfect month to push myself to get the other 6 done. So I do have a start. I have all 6 remaining months. I have them basted to the felt that I'm using on the back of them. And so now each of the 6, I just need to actually sit down and do the stitching with to create that border and then be able to fringe my fabric. So I'm getting there. That's a part of my plans that I can share while I was showing this to you. And I'm sorry, my arm is getting very tired. This is heavy. I don't know if it looks it on the video, but I had a question from someone about the fringe. And actually, if it's okay, I'm going to hold up May because it's much lighter at this point. About doing the fringe on an edge of a fabric if you had stitched on Ada. And I haven't actually tried it myself, but I don't know why this wouldn't work just as well, maybe even a little better on Aida. And I think you would treat it the exact same way. You just need a line of stitching to sort of hold everything in place, and then you can pull threads and create your fringe. I will say, my guess is that if you're using Aida, your best fringe results would probably come from a hand-dyed Aida that is much softer than a solid color. One, I think it would be easier to fringe, and two, I think the fringe will just look a little more natural. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but that would be my guess. But yeah, I don't know why you couldn't do a fringe even if you're using Aida. So I hope that helps everybody a little bit if that was a question you had. So that wraps up the FFOs for this video. Continuing with this theme of catching up, these next 4 projects I'm going to show you are finishes, and I don't even remember exactly when I finished them. I want to say that a couple of them were finished in March. Maybe all of them. I don't know. It's not important. They've been finished for a little while. And I just haven't shared them because of other things going on in sort of my Flosstube sharing. Lots of other excitement going on. So up first in the finishes is the Rabbit in the Rose from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. I'll see if I can pull this out quick because it's a lot of glare and you're not gonna be able to see it. Okay, there, now you can see it. The Rabbit in the Rose with Thy Needle and Thread by Brenda Gervais. And this was a release for last year. So what year are we in? So it wasn't Nashville in 2023. It was released around the time of Nashville 2022. I don't even know if that's important, but here is my finish. And let me share my details with you. I stitched this on 40 count marbled khaki from xjudesign. You all know how much I love that fabric. Her fabric is, I don't know, it's something about the way I stitch and it just is amazing. And this color, which I don't feel is coming through very true, but let me see. Yeah, it might be coming through pretty true. It's kind of a bluish green and a lot of marbleizing on it. I used, let's see, I wanted to double check here. It's been a little while since I was working on this. So I said 40 count fabric. That means I stitched 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. I used almost all the called for flosses. There were 2 changes that I made. One was this basket. It called for a DMC and I wanted a little variation in color, so I substituted Classic Colorworks Hazelnut, which was very close to the color that was called for. It's just that this one has a little variegation in the floss. The other change I made is the blue that's used. And again, that called for a DMC and it called for DMC 522. And 522 actually is almost the exact color of the background of this beautiful piece of linen. So that wasn't going to work. So I pulled out one of my favorites that I've used before, and it is Classic Colorworks Shamrock. and I think it turned out fantastic. And if you look carefully, I think you can see the cute little bunny tail there. That is a Whisper thread from Rainbow Gallery, and it's called for in the chart. So that is the Rabbit and the Rose from Brenda Gervais. And I don't really know for sure how I'm going to fully finish it yet. And as much as I love it, and I was really into spring stitching, I don't know if it will get fully finished this year, because I kind of feel like maybe I'm going to be moving on to some other seasons. So, and because I don't have a plan, it will take planning time, and that takes me time for a lot of finishes. So I'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, it's probably going to go in my finishing drawer for at least a little while as I'm working on other things like Mania and getting those word plays done. Up next is a stitch I really enjoyed. Well, I wouldn't pick things if I didn't really enjoy them, right? But I enjoyed stitching this once I got going very much. This is from Pansy Patch Stitchery and Quilts. It is the Tulip House Sampler. And I think there's enough, you can see it without seeing too much glare. And here is my awesome finish. Oh, love this one. I'm sorry that's taken me so long to share it. Let's see, I need to tell you the details. And this is stitched on 36 count antique crochet lace from Nicholas Flamel. And I really like this. I hope it's coming across on the video. It's kind of a darker blush pink sort of color. And oh, it just looks so good with a spring stitch on it, doesn't it? I really like it. Since it was 36 count, I stitched one floss thread over 2 linen threads. And let me see. I used all called for colors except for a couple that I wasn't able to find, and I substituted what I had and that was close to what was called for based on what I could tell in the chart picture. And I just love this one. I think it is so pretty. Oh, and I feel like my face is really dark and shadowy today, and I'm not sure why, but so that is Tulip House Sampler from Pansy Patch. How am I going to fully finish it? I have no idea. Well, that's not totally true. I really think because of the size of this, I think I want to do some sort of a framed finish, or, you know, like one of those box display pieces. I call it a box frame when I use it. And so something like that. So it'll look framed. And I don't have one picked out yet. Again, this is probably going to go in the drawer for a little while just because of the change of seasons, and I'm ready to move on to doing other seasons. So that is beautiful finish number 2. Up next, and let's see, let me clip it to the board and I'll try to chat a little more here. I will start by showing you the chart picture. This one is, oh, I know, with Tulip House, that Tulip House Sampler, that was also released, I believe, last year with Nashville. So Nashville of 2022. So it's been out for a little while. Same with this one that I'm going to show you. Berry Patch from Hello from Liz Mathews. This also came out Nashville 2022. and I've been wanting to stitch it, and with seasons, I like to stitch pretty consistently within seasons, and it just didn't get pulled out until recently. Well, this year, I guess. Here is my full finish. And details. This is that same lovely fabric. So I got 2 awesome stitches out of that piece of fabric. It is 36 count antique crochet lace from Nicholas Flamel. Like I said before, it's kind of a dark blush pink. And isn't it fantastic with spring stitches? Especially these colors, I think they're awesome. So 36 count, that means 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. That's how I stitched this. This one, I used all the called for colors, except for 1 substitution. And those of you that have been here before, you know how much I love Classic Colorworks Toasted Marshmallow. It is my go-to for my white almost always. And this was not an exception to that rule. And I think it turned out really nice. It showed up really well on my linen. And if you don't have or haven't used Toasted Marshmallow, there is this like subtle hint of pink in it. I don't know, there's something about it, and I haven't stitched with it yet that I haven't loved it. So that's one of the reasons I substituted it in there, because those flowers are so prominent that it was used in. So I think that worked out really well. As for full finish, do not have a absolute decision yet on this one, although I do lean towards framing it. Let's see. Yeah, I think, and you can see that it's square, but I don't remember what the dimensions are. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere. And I think I just haven't found the frame or taken the time to find the frame that I want to put it in. So, but because it's square and it's a good size, I think a frame would be good for it. So, super cute bunny. Love it. Now strawberries. So that is finish number 3 in this catch-up mini parade. I don't even know, I feel like that's what I should call it. I feel like I'm showing a lot of finishes. And I will try to chat and clip at the same time. Can I do that? I'm not sure. Well, I can talk nonsense like that. I'm clipping the board, or the stitch to the board. All right. I gotta get my head together here. This one is Heartstring Samplery, Farm and Folk penny cushions. And if you have been following along, or if you remember, I did a full finish on the animals. Let's see, that one's called Here a Peep, There a Peep, earlier this year, and Jeff has that in his office. But I've always saved this one. I've had it saved since I finished the other one, which has been a while, and really, really wanted to stitch it. I love the colors in these. So I did this one here, and it is called Folk Bouquet, but you get both patterns in this chart. Farm and Folk penny cushions. So that is the chart picture. Here is the finish. Isn't it cute? Oh, and I love the colors. This is stitched on 32 count Belfast linen natural. I think it was just a pack I got at Hobby Lobby. It was nothing fancy, but I like this natural linen. I think it's a cool look, especially with this type this style, right? And, oh, let's take a minute to say, oh, it's got pennies on it. Why do I like it so much? But I just love the colors because they're different than what I tend to stitch with. Well, some of them, not all of them. The green, love, use all the time. So that is... So I told you the fabric. Okay, 32 count. That means I stitched using 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And I used all the called for floss colors. And they were all, yes, they're all Weeks Dye Works. But isn't that cute? And this, for a full finish, I am planning a pillow. I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't know though. Again, this is probably going to get put in a drawer for a little while. And maybe this summer I'll be able to pull out a bunch of random FFO stuff that I want to work on. I don't know. We'll see. I don't have any plans made yet, but I just love this. It was a joy to stitch. I love looking at it. And talking about this little penny chart reminded me of something that I want to share, and I'm looking over here. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll be right back. I was able to find what I wanted to tell you about, and it's just going to be really hard for me to show you. It is a found penny, and I haven't talked about these in a while. I'm going to try holding it not with the board, if that's okay. There we go. I don't know, maybe is it? I think it's focusing. Okay, that's enough of holding it up. It's hard to look at. And I know I've talked about this before. My family and I, we find pennies, not all the time, but whenever we do, we know where they came from. This one in particular, and I don't show it every time we find one. This one in particular is very, like, I got goosebumps and like I could absolutely feel my mom's presence. So Vivian actually found this penny, and she found it on the playground at school. And I feel like it was kind of a weird way that she found it, or she was in an unusual spot on the playground or something, you know, I don't know. There was something kind of unique about it. And she brought it home, and I think I've also shared, I always look at the year the penny has on it when we find one. More often than not, it has some sort of significance, and it might be fairly minor significance, or it just might be that it's older and it's a random year, but for me, it feels more proof that it is actually from my mom. Okay. This one has the year 1973 on it. Now, for anyone who doesn't do math really quick, that's 50 years old. And the year I was born. So my daughter finds this penny and brings it home to me, and it has my birth year on it. Could it be from my mom? It could be from no one else, right? Like I said, it gave me goosebumps, and I'm even getting like tears right now thinking about it. And I feel like the day she brought it home was, I don't know, I feel like we were having a rough day, or I don't know, maybe I was feeling a little blue that day or whatever. It wasn't anything major or anything, but I had been thinking about wanting to find a penny. And here it is. So birthday's not till September, but someone is definitely telling me they're thinking about me for my birthday. So I just wanted to share that. It reminded me talking about the Farm and Folk penny cushions, finishing this folk bouquet, and reminded me that I had this awesome found penny. Thanks for letting me share that story with you. Let's talk whips, and still keeping somewhat in the theme of catching up, I want to talk first about this great big whip. Teresa Cogut's Faith, Hope, Peace, Love. And what I'm catching you up on is I put this away to start Stitch Mania. So what I have done here is from April. And I'll go through this a little bit really quickly. I talked at length about this on, was it my last Flosstube? My last regular episode? I think so, yeah. So I think that's Flosstube 35. So I'm not going to go over all the details that I shared then. Let me see. Is that okay? I think you can see it really well. A quick recap. I want to get this done. My goal is by October 10th of this year, which will be the 25th anniversary of my first date with Jeff. And I thought this was just a really wonderful, I love the sampler, and I think it would be really wonderful as a celebration piece for that reason. I had worked on it for a while earlier in the year and was not having very much fun with it, and it felt like it was taking a really long time to stitch it. So I kind of put it away, and then I talked about it on another Flosstube episode. What I figured out, the problem was I was off one linen thread. When I was stitching over two, I was off by one thread. And because I've switched to stitching in hand, it was really awkward and difficult for me to stitch. Fast forward to Linda telling me, or suggesting in the comments, to leave everything as is, but tear out, if I needed, a little bits and pieces, and shift over one linen thread, my stitches. Let me see if I can clip this while I'm talking. So I tore out, I had started part of the right hand border and I tore that out. I shouldn't use those aggressive words. I frogged it, unpicked it, and started my stitches one linen thread to the right. So that way I would have some space, a little fudge factor, if you will, when I moved my way over to meet back up over here. Because that's the other thing with going from stitching with a Q-snap to stitching in hand. I used to start in the upper left with my Q-snap. Stitching in hand, I like to start in the upper right. So this is where I'm at. And I did not want to put this away at the end of April. But I also wanted to do Mania. So, and if you saw my Mania Plans Parade video, I told you that Jeff helped me plan my projects for Mania, and it was his suggestion that because I had been stitching on this so much that I put it away for May and work on different projects. So that's what I'm doing. this will come back out, and I can definitely see where I will just have to plan it and make sure to make it a priority at times that I can have this done for October 10th, like I would like. This is, I'm using 40 count affogato from Fiber on a Whim. That's my fabric. That means I'm stitching 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. I am using the called for flosses, except for, let me make sure that I only have the one change. Oh goodness. My notes must be tucked in here somewhere. I think I only substituted 1 floss. I was just trying to make sure so that I'm telling you correctly. And that, yes, okay. The only change I made was the white. Surprise, surprise, I'm using Toasted Marshmallow from Classic Colorworks. The called for, I don't remember offhand what it is, but it would not show very well on my linen choice. So I needed to make a substitution, and I am, of course, thrilled with how Classic Colorworks Toasted Marshmallow looks. And if you remember from the chart picture, so this is basically 3 large bands that make up the sampler, and I'm for sure more than halfway through this second band. In an ideal world, at the end of April, I would have been done with this second band and been about 2/3 through this sampler, because the bottom has a great big house and a beautiful bouquet. There's a lot of stitching, which I don't mind. I love stitching houses, but it'll just take me a little while. And that's okay. So I put on my big girl pants and I put it away to do Mania. So that catches you up on my past whips. Now I'm going to pull out and catch you up on where I'm at with Mania right now. As a reminder, my Mania plans were 10 projects, and I was going to work on each of the 10 for 3 days in the month of May. And I ended up with, I believe, 2 whips that I pulled out that I'm going to work on. And I have one of those to share with you. And then that meant 8 new starts. So I have 2 projects to catch up with you on and share where I'm at. The first one, or my first project from Mania, is a whip. It is Hester's special delivery from Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. So cute. Love the bunny, love the house. This is another one of those charts that came out Nashville 2022. Can you see that I liked a whole lot of things that year? Or a lot of spring I picked out. And now I'm finally working on it. And here is where I'm at. And that's as far as I'm going to get in May for this. One. So cute. All right, I am stitching this on 40 count marbled khaki from xjudesign. You've seen that on at least one other project that are spring stitches. Love, love, love this fabric, and I think it's so awesome for spring stitching. And I am using, let's see, Called For Colors, which is a mix of Gentle Arts, Weeks Dye Works, and Classic Colorworks. I had to make one substitution, and it's going to be hard to even tell on here, but there's a few stitches of like a turquoise blue, and I had to pull out something that I had that was a little darker because the Called For got lost on my linen choice was all. And I think that's turning out pretty okay so far. I can't wait to stitch the yellow house. Obviously, I didn't get to that in my 3 days. Where was I? I had this flower done before I started stitching, and I had part of the bunny done. I don't remember exactly where I was. Should have written it down or taken a picture to tell, so I could tell you, but for sure I did almost the whole bunny during the 3 days, and then I did some work here on the house. This is the start of the basket and a few of the letters. But if I hadn't had to put it away, I know I could probably get it done with a few more days of stitching on it. My thought is that I will pull this out for a finish in June, just because I feel like I'm pretty close. For me, if I'm relatively close like this, I mean, what? I'm probably 2/3 done-ish. Yeah, that's rough estimate. I think I'm more than half. Well, anyway, for me, that means I'm fairly close, and it's hard for me to put it away because I tend to stitch on things till they're done. So I would like to finish it. So we'll see what happens in June, because like I said, I put my 3 days on it in May. I'm really happy with how much I got done, and I was really nervous as I was stitching this bunny. There's a lot of variegation in that. And the only time I really sort of fussy stitched, if that's a good way to put it, and specifically chose pieces of thread that didn't have as much variegation, is to get the face completed. And now that I got the bunny done, I think he looks really good. He looks like he belongs in the style of this project. I think that crazy color variation for the bunny just fits with the style. And that's really fun to stitch too. So hard to put away. But by putting it away meant I got to get out a new start, which is something I've been dying to start and just been busy with other things. So Mania was the perfect reason to push me to get it out. And this was released at Nashville this year. And here's no surprise, it's Penny Spring from Plum Street Samplers. And here's my Penny Autumn. So, I mean, it's a penny stitch. I gotta do it, right? And this is so cute. I love the colors. Here is where I'm at. This is about 2.5 days on it. I get a little more time today to work on this one. And it's so fun. Again, I'm trying not to make my face so dark. Yeah, that really shadows it out. So fun to stitch. I am not going to want to put this away. I'm going to want to just keep stitching on it. But I will put it away because I get to get a new start out again. So what am I stitching this on? Can you tell that I roll my fabric up in my left hand when I stitch? I am stitching this on 40 count from xjudesign, and it is from her Sampler Only Neutrals Club, and it was the fabric that she sent out in February of 2023. So I don't have a fabric name for it. That's the information I have. Again, it's very similar to the Nicholas Flamel that I showed you earlier. This one is not quite as dark, so it is, but it's still like a darker blush pink. And I don't know if you can see the white very good. You can definitely see it better. When I have this and I'm holding it in my hand and it's like above, like if I have dark pants on, the white is hard to see. And then as soon as I put it on something with a lighter background, then you can see it much better. So I don't know if it's showing very well in the video, but in person, the white looks really good. And you can see it, and definitely once I get more stitching done on it. So 40 count fabric, that means I'm stitching 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I am using all the called for colors, which is a mix of DMC, Classic Colorworks, and Weeks Dye Works. I did make one substitution, and that is for kind of the white that you see here. It was a DMC called for color, and I had some Classic Colorworks antique lace. Yes, I said that right. Classic Colorworks antique lace left over from Penny Autumn in the house, and I pulled that out because I thought it might give just a little extra interest, because there's going to be a big section of house here that is stitched with that. And so I thought it might give it a little, just a little something. We'll see if it shows. It may not show on this fabric, I don't know, but plus I like the continuity of using a same color from one piece to another that are part of a series. And to the best of my memory, that will be the only continuity in color between that one and this one. So that is Penny Spring from Plum Street Samplers. And like I said, I get to stitch on that a little bit more today before I start something new tomorrow. I think that I have talked long enough today. It's kind of hard for me when I feel like I want to catch you up on so many things, and they've just kind of been set aside because I've had so many other things I wanted to share in the meantime, right? Or big sort of goals going on is what it has been feeling like. So I'm glad that I was able to feel like I have caught you up on where I'm at with projects wise. Going forward for the near future, my plans are to get those word plays done, get the 6 of them remaining fully finished so that I can check that off. And that was my first priority with this FFO Challenge 2023. So it'll feel really good to be able to get those done and feel like I can move on to other FFOs, especially some other types of FFOs that I haven't done before. And so those are a challenge of their own, which will be fun, but require a little extra since all of the word plays are finished the same way. So it's just doing that repeated process a few more times. So I'm going to do that. And then the other thing that I get to do is continue with my Mania stitching. And that I'm really looking forward to because I have one more whip to pull out, and that's coming up, I think, this week. And other than that, I get to just continue to have new starts. And that is what I get to be doing. I don't know why I keep looking around. I know that I'm wrapping up. I need to stop babbling. So I don't get to give you a funny closeout this time where I didn't realize that I wasn't recording. So this time we're going to be wrapped up. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, and I will talk to you soon.